All right. Well, we're live. I just spilled water on my face right as we started this. Great. We got a fun episode here today. If you guys have seen this before, this is a episode of Ask a Property Manager. I'm Eric Worrell with RentPrep.com, and as always, I'm here with Andrew Schultz of Realty Edge. How you doing, Andrew?
Good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm already loving this episode for so many reasons. Number one is if you're a very observant person, you might be able to guess where Andrew's sitting right now. He might be on a toilet. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the back of it there.
But it's kind of fun because where are you today? You're out in the field, you said?
I am out in the field. I'm actually in Amherst, New York, not too far from our office, about 5 minutes from our office. And we just picked up a new rental listing. So, and this is just strictly a lease placement listing. We're not doing the management on this one.
Okay.
So I'm out here. I'm just kind of tidying up a little bit, getting ready to shoot my photos and get this thing online today.
Okay. How does that work as far as if you're just handling the leasing of it? Like, how does your pricing structure work with the client, and how does it change?
So it's pretty straightforward, actually. We charge 1 month's rent as a finder's fee, same as we would for most of our management clients. And they get all the same services that we would give, excuse me, one of our clients when we do a tenant placement. So, you know, that fee includes the showings, the marketing, the time spent here at the property, the lease generation, the move-in inspection, the detailed move-in photos and stuff like that. I've found that there's a lot of property managers who don't offer just a straight lease-up service, and I kind of feel like they're doing themselves a disservice by not. It's easy revenue.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say easy revenue, but it's a good source of additional revenue for your property management business. And I found that once somebody uses you for a tenant placement, they're more likely to come back to you for management when their needs change.
Yeah. It's a little bit easier of a bite to kind of chew on and then see if you like working with this individual kind of thing.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
the commitment is pretty minimal between the two parties. I mean, we don't hold people anyway. If somebody's not happy, I'm not going to hold them to a contract.
Okay.
So it doesn't so much matter to me. But it's, you know, when you're trying to talk to somebody about doing like a rental listing, a lot of times that's an easier pill to swallow than, you know, give us X% of your gross monthly rents collected and everything else. So it's a good kind of intro for the landlord that still wants to be hands-on, but maybe doesn't have the time to find their own quality tenant. We'll help them find the quality tenant and get them in place.
Or if you just don't like that part of the process, but you don't mind doing, the maintenance.
It's a lot of people that don't like that kind of I mean, look, we see the questions every single day on the forums. How do I find a good tenant? And do you think this tenant is trying to, pull the wool over my eyes? And, if you're using a professional property management service to help you find a tenant, they go through this process so many times that they know what to watch out for. So,
yeah, exactly. Well, we got 3 questions here today. I'm going to add my screen to the broadcast here. And if you didn't catch us last week, this is the first week or second week we're doing this live. So you'll just have to bear with me if it doesn't go so great. But let's see if we can get this a little bit larger. We'll play with the screens a little bit, huh? There we go. All right. So I'm going to take
me.
Yeah. You can't see it on your end.
But I can't see anything anyway. I can see a thumbnail of whatever's being displayed, but that's about it.
Well, that's why I'm going to read to you. I love reading to you, Andrew.
It's like a bedtime story.
Yeah. Well, this bedtime story comes from Joel on December 8th. So here it is. He said, I haven't asked for advice here in a while, but this is in regards to tenants in a nicer property. It's a lakefront at $1,300 a month. The tenant has been great on taking care of the property, but has been late on rent 6 times in 2017 alone. They sorted it out every time working with me, sometimes very late in the month, but I was paid. So this month is the 6th late month, and the primary breadwinner is now out of work. So he expects an offer soon and has a verbal, but how much leeway would you give here? Or do I finally lay down the notice to vacate on the 10th? After the non-payments earlier this year, I did not renew the lease as an annual, but went to month. I really do try to work with people, but I'm concerned that they have reached the end of what they can afford to do, and there's no prospect of being paid for rent until the end of the month from what I see. So what would you do in this situation? What would you suggest?
Was there a state? Did that guy say what state he's in by any chance?
He did not.
All right.
Yeah.
So the way we do our rent collection procedure, it's due on the 1st, it's late on the 5th with a late fee. And then on the 6th, I'm issuing the 3-day pay or quit notice.
Okay.
You don't have to file the eviction on day 4, okay?
Okay.
But at least that notice is issued. It prevents a future delay. So if you decide, I'm going to give this guy till the 15th, like we do it all the time. We'll set up a payment plan with the tenant, but we issue the 3-day notice anyway, and we let the tenant know, you're going to get the 3-day notice. Don't freak out. As long as you keep to your payment plan, we have no problems. But what it does is, say you make a payment plan with this tenant, and he's going to pay you on the 15th of the month, which I think is Friday. So he says, I'm going to pay you on the 15th. We'll be good. Okay, go ahead and issue that notice anyway. And then when that tenant, if that tenant doesn't perform on the 15th, you're not wasting another 3 days waiting for the 3-day notice to expire before you could file your eviction. Mm-hmm. So that's my recommendation. Keep the ball in your court. File the 3-day notice so that the paperwork end of it is done. And then you have the option of saying, I'm going to enforce this, or I'm going to give you a little bit of extra time. But it's important in those situations to make sure that you still have, for lack of a better term, to make sure you still have the upper hand. So that's why I would recommend doing it that way.
As far as being consistent with this, what is your recommendation? Because I mean, I would assume you can't just serve let's say you're consistent with the way you serve the 3-day pay or quit. But then as far as an eviction, I mean, you can't really pick and choose who you're going to give leeway to and who you're not going to, right? How does that work?
It's an interesting question, actually. You should have the same policies in place with every tenant. Obviously, every situation is a little bit different, but as long as you could document what you're doing and why you're doing it to kind of cover yourself in the event that somebody says, well, you know, Jimmy got evicted, but excuse me, Jimmy didn't get evicted, but I'm getting evicted. How come? Yep. Well, Jimmy's situation is different than your situation. So it's all about making sure that you have that documentation to kind of cover, just to cover yourself. Am I actually looking where I'm supposed to be looking? Because I keep looking. Your photo is actually offset from the camera, so I feel like whenever I'm looking at you, I'm
getting the finger right in the lens. I like that. Yeah. Oh, you're good. All right. Well,
I'm trying to make it look like I'm not staring down, essentially.
Yeah. It's a little easier when I've got my little setup here with a desk chair and everything. So
right.
All right. Well, let us get to the next question here, and this one comes from Maria on December 7th, and she said, "Do you guys typically charge higher rent for month to month compared to a 6 to 12 month lease?" So, what are your thoughts on this one, Andrew?
We do. We charge. So we have usually a set rent rate for a 12-month lease. We don't always offer 6-month leases, and we almost never offer month-to-month situation. It really, I mean, we're in Western New York. The wind chill here is -1 today. So I'm not getting a ton of calls on my leasing line. If somebody calls me right now and says, I want to take this place for January 1st and I want a 6-month lease, I'm going to do it because that puts us back at the end of June, which is a good time for us to be leasing. If somebody contacts me in June and says, I want a 6-month lease, or July and says they want a 6-month lease, that drops us in the middle of winter. I don't want that. So I'm not offering a 6-month lease at that point.
Okay.
As far as the rent rates, do I charge more for a 6-month lease? Yeah, I will try to get a little bit more for a 6-month lease because we're going to have to turn that unit around sooner than if we had, excuse me. We're going to have to turn that unit around sooner than if we had a 1-year lease or something like that. So there's an added expense there because you're going to have to turn that unit over more quickly than you otherwise would. So I do try to get a little bit extra rent on those.
Well, I would just think like anything else, it's an added feature for the tenant. So if you have a nicer kitchen, you're going to charge more money for the rent. If you have a month-to-month lease, and that's what the tenant wants because, they're not sure if their job's going to be lasting or they might get shipped out or something, that's an added feature for the tenant. I know some people, Caitlin Ashley, who I think is out in Rochester, who's a property manager, she's chimed in and she actually wrote a chapter of this in the Landlord Water Cooler book. Where she does month-to-month leases in areas that are a little bit dicier, where she wants more control. So she doesn't have to go through an eviction process. She does all month-to-month in those areas.
Sure.
She doesn't have to evict people. She just doesn't, renew the lease.
Yeah, you just hand them a 30-day notice and say, get out. Kindly get out.
We're done here, yeah. So it kind of all depends on your situation and what you're trying to do, but, you just got to think that over. So,
yeah, exactly. Everything is situational dependent. It's very tough to just give a blanket statement about anything.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where we're at on it. So,
okay. All right, let's go to the next question here. And if we're looking at the third question, this guy's first name was just V. So that's what we see on screen. On December 6th, I thought this was a great question because I'm kind of split on this one. He said he wants to know about adding a garbage disposal to a single family house kitchen, yes or no. I personally can't imagine life without one, and I think they are more forgiving on the plumbing. And he's also asking for ideas to freshen up the smell of a vacant, closed-up home after an open house.
Okay. So as far as the garbage disposal goes, I hate garbage disposals. I really do.
Hate's a
I don't
strong
like
word,
them.
Andrew.
It is a strong word. I have one at my house.
Sure.
I have one at my house, and I never use it. I'd rather it's easier for me to just scrape the food remains or whatever into the garbage can and take the garbage out.
Yeah.
The problem with garbage disposals is if you have a tenant that doesn't know how to use a garbage disposal, they throw everything in there.
Yeah.
And then you wind up with a clogged garbage disposal, leading to a clogged pipe. I mean, I've seen tenants throw things like banana peels will destroy a garbage disposal.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I had somebody throw rice that wasn't all the way cooked into the garbage disposal, which then met with water and ended up clogging the pipe after the disposal.
Really?
Oh yeah, we ended up paying to have that one done. Actually, the tenant wound up reimbursing us, but I don't like garbage disposals because I feel like it encourages people to put food down the sink, which is something that we actively try to avoid. So I would recommend not to install a garbage disposal.
Okay. I mean, I have one in my house. First time I've had one, I didn't have one. I lived in a double upper lower. I didn't put one in that rental, but it was more of a wife question there, and she just got what she wanted on that.
Do you use it a lot though?
I do. Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm like the same. I put it in the trash, and I'll try to throw anything too dicey in there, just a few scraps here and there. But yeah, I mean, that kind of falls in. I feel like this question kind of is along the lines of like, do you want to get into like fancy door locks for your rentals? Yeah, it's cool. It's a nice added feature. It's a new thing, but then you're going to deal with like when the batteries die or if it malfunctions, so it's like a lot of those types of things.
Did they mention what the rental amount was on the rental?
Let me take a look here. He did not.
Yeah, see, if I'm doing a $700 a month rental, that's going to be a lot different as to what I would put in place than say the house that I'm in right now. We're going to list this for $1,600.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I don't know if this has a garbage disposal. I didn't think to look, but
yeah.
I don't like them. I feel like they cause more headaches than they solve.
Well, while I got you on here, if you don't mind, I don't know if you got the time, Andrew. Since you're actually about to take pictures of this location, if you wanted to just kind of walk us through the rental and maybe some of the things you would highlight, or if you had time to really even take a look at it yet.
I've just started taking a look. Let me see if I can spin my camera around here.
I'll see if I
do have pants on, guys.
Oh, very good.
So it's not like I'm just sitting on the toilet this whole time. So, all right, here's our kitchen.
Okay.
I don't love these appliances. I think that he could have gone with a little bit nicer stove and fridge, but we do have a dishwasher. We do have a microwave included. And to give you guys an idea, this one, what's that?
So it looks like a newer microwave.
I'm just checking to see if we have no garbage disposal in this one. So we're already ahead of the game. Decent little eat-in kitchen.
Yep.
I'll just take a quick peek in the living room here.
So, like, while you're going through this, what would you do if it was a rental that you were going to manage and update to? So in the kitchen you're looking at right here, like, would you paint cabinets? Would you put in new appliances? What would you be looking to do?
Everything in here is actually fresh painted, so it's actually in pretty good shape overall. I just don't like that stove and fridge. I think that, I mean, if you're going to have a black front, let me flip my camera around here.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a black front on the dishwasher and you're going to have a stainless and black microwave, I just think it makes sense for the other two appliances to match. But yeah, it is what it is. This was actually upgraded. The countertops and everything are upgraded. This is a
Formica or?
No, it's actually, it feels like it's a granite to me.
Oh, really?
I'm betting this was probably like, judging by the thickness on it, it's not super thick. I'm betting that this was probably like granite remnant that they were able to get fairly inexpensively.
Okay.
Let's see here. And then they did the nice tile on the backsplash here too. I'll move forward so you can see that a little bit.
Okay.
This is something that drives me up a wall.
I saw that too. I was like, change the outlet. Yeah, they don't match. It's got that old yellow. I know that. I have a couple of those still in my
I
house that
hate
I need
this
to
too.
switch out.
The nasty, the green tile above the blue. It's not my favorite color combination, but
yeah.
Let's see. All right. I showed you guys the living room here.
Yeah.
Bedroom 1, decent size. I haven't measured these yet, so don't hold me to anything.
Yep.
Bedroom 2.
Okay.
The bathroom that I was just sitting in.
Yep. A lot of blue tile, a lot of blue tub.
70s style blue tile. I don't know how I feel about this either. So you've got the window. It does have the frosting on it, and it's actually that was done at the factory. It's actually a factory frosted window. It's not like the film.
Yep.
And I don't know if this is a thing in other parts of the country or not, but the window in the shower irks me. Yeah, because I think it's a terrible way to wind up causing damage to your property. I've never seen somebody have shutters over the window though.
Yeah, and that is different.
It is different. My concern is that they're wooden shutters.
Yeah.
I'm actually probably going to recommend that he just remove this altogether. You've got plenty of privacy on this window. These shutters are wooden, and I think it's just going to create a place for moisture and mold to build up. So I'm probably going to recommend that we just remove those.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We'll go upstairs. You guys can listen to me huff and puff because I'm still fighting that stupid head cold. There's 2 really big storage areas right at the top of the stairs.
Okay. So you'd highlight that in your listing, good
for sure. It's a ton of storage space. It's not large enough to be a bedroom, and it's lacking, like a closet and stuff like that. But you have probably, if I'm a betting man, I'd say this room is probably at least 12 by 6 with a sloped ceiling.
Yeah.
And then right across on the other side of the stairway, you have another room over here for storage or like a small office, something like that. Mm-hmm. This is probably 10 by 6, so it's not a huge room, but you do have some space.
Yep.
Another full bath up here on the second floor.
A little more updated.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's more my speed. It's got I think this is actually a flooring tile, but
yeah, I've seen that done before too.
And then just your standard white tile here. Mm-hmm. Close the toilet. Show you the toilet and the vanity.
I've got the same 2-flush toilet, or it's got the two options.
Right.
I don't know if anyone else has ever had this issue, but sometimes that button will stick.
Really?
Yeah. I've got 2 of them in my house, and the one, for whatever reason, will stick. So it's just like having a running toilet on, which is ironic because you're using those because you're trying to,
because you're trying to conserve water.
Yeah.
That's something that's worth noting. I don't think in any of our standard rentals, I don't think we have any of the dual flush toilets. I think we normally just go with the single stage.
Yeah.
And we're using the Gerber, I want to say they're the Gerber Viper toilets. Okay. Is what our plumber recommends, just because they have so much power to them. All right, so we're back up here. So this is let's see if I can open this a little bit more. This is one of the second floor bedrooms.
All right.
Then this is a pretty sizable room. This is 15-ish by 9-ish with a big closet.
You do property management if you got your pacing and your steps.
And this is probably my favorite bedroom just because of this little nook over here.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I like this quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera because of the sun.
Yeah.
Let me close this blinder real quick.
Well, I think that it's interesting the wood.
Those are terrible.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's a little bit different. It's something gives you a little bit more of a character to the place. This has got a big closet too. Most of these bedrooms have decent sized closets actually, so that's kind of a nice touch.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back downstairs. Hopefully we're not boring people. I don't even know how many people we have on the stream right now.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Well, we're having fun, and that's what matters.
I think we got 8 people right now.
Oh, see, that's not so bad. We've got some people.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go down to the basement real quick. All right. So you've got a huge room down here in the basement, just kind of wide open. And then off to the side, you've got your washer dryer hookups are over here.
All right. I'm also telling
some storage and whatnot
here where people can comment and it'll show up on the screen. So it'll give me an opportunity to test that out if somebody wants to try that.
Do you know what this is here?
What is it? A boiler?
That is an old oil tank, an old fuel oil tank.
Wow, I'm surprised they need that anymore.
Oh, that's not empty. That's almost full. That's 7/8 full.
Well,
which is weird because everything's on gas. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if there's a light in there or not. Just your utility room. You've got your hot water tank and your furnace.
Okay.
So, but this is the house in a nutshell. It's not a bad. There we go. I turn the light on so you can actually see down here.
I remember before you were telling me something when you look at homes that you look at for like what was it, water on the hot water tank, as far as if there's ever been flooding or anything like that.
Yeah. So like if I'm looking at one of our foreclosed properties,
okay,
I'm gonna walk back in here and get my flashlight out. One of the telltale signs of a flip my camera here. There we go. One of the telltale signs in foreclosures as you're kind of walking around, and I don't know how easy this is to see, I apologize, guys. You'll see either like a water line at the bottom of the hot water tank that would indicate that it's been underwater, or on the back of drywall is always a good place to look for it. Same thing on furnaces. This basement's been painted out, so we don't really see a lot of that here. That furnace is newer, the hot water tank is newer as well. But yeah, whenever you're in a basement, it's a pretty good idea to just be mindful of the fact that, you know, if there's been water before, there could be water again, and to kind of plan accordingly, basically.
Okay. It's always a good tip.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think I'll let you get to your job here today, Andrew, but than's for doing this.
Oh, didn't you have something about an ozone generator you wanted to talk about too?
Oh, yeah. So that was the second half of that question, was asking about if you have any tips.
Oh, yeah.
Freshening up the smell of a vacant, closed up home before an open house.
Right.
And I feel like I've seen you mention before about like getting an ozone, ozone generator. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see the full screen there, but it looks like that's probably the exact unit that I use.
Enersen, does that sound right?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
but it's the black one with the gray crank on the front, the gray timer crank.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's very similar to the one that we use. Excuse me.
Okay.
Works great, by the way.
How long do you have to let that run for? Like, what are the rules with this thing? I've never used one.
So that's one of the ones that's more powerful. You don't want to be in the space while that's running. You don't want anybody in an you want no one inside the space while that unit is running, because it produces so much ozone. I usually go in, I will start it for a 2-hour cycle, which is the max length. I'll let it run for 2 hours, and then I'll let the apartment sit closed for 2 hours, and that kind of lets the oxygen come back to a normal state, I guess. I don't know all the science behind how it works.
Okay.
But usually if I run it for 2 hours, and then let the apartment sit for 2 hours, you'll come back into the apartment and it'll smell like, it'll smell like clean apartment. It'll smell like fresh air and stuff like that. So that works pretty well.
Okay.
And then as far as other tips and tricks you can use, I don't recommend the plug-in air fresheners because they have a tendency to overheat and can cause fires and stuff like that. So I don't really care for the plug-in style ones. What I've done in some apartments is I will, they make like room diffusers. Those usually work pretty well. I've done at open houses. I'm not a baker by any means, but
I was gonna say,
I've done
cookies.
What I'll do is I'll go to like Wegmans and I'll buy cookies, and then take get like a little bottle of vanilla and just put a little bit of vanilla into a, like the metal pie tins. I don't know how else to describe them.
Okay.
But take like a metal pie tin, put a couple drops of vanilla on it, and then just set it on top of a gas stove burner on warm for a few minutes, just enough to get the vanilla to kind of let off some of the vanilla smell, and that works really well too.
It sounds
and then just
like
toss the pie pan out
when version of doing essential oils or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the manly version of essential oils.
Put the vanilla extract in it, and you throw it onto the campfire. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I mean, then I don't have to bake cookies, so it saves me the headache of having to bake cookies. So it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually the ozone generator is enough to take the smell out of most apartments that have kind of a little bit of funk to them or something like that from just sitting. If you have like smoke smell or heavy cooking smells or something like that, you may have to run that ozone generator more than once. You may have to paint and then run the ozone generator. There's a couple of different options out there to help take the smell out of an apartment that's been sitting for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say one of the from a marketing perspective, smell is the closest thing tied to your memories out of your five senses. Is the
Hmm.
closest one tied to memory. So that's why like baking cookies, if it's gonna kind of just pull up these memories of like being a kid in this like cozy, warm home, I think that's why people go for the cookies. Is it's like a fond memory
Right.
child that you have. Where if
Hmm.
somebody walks into a place and it smells like cigarettes or other things,
Yeah,
it might not be
exactly.
bringing up fond memories. Maybe it does. I don't know. I actually like the smell of
Right.
mothballs. It reminds me of my grandma's basement. So,
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah,
That's a weird thing to enjoy the smell of, but
I haven't found a mothball air freshener yet, but I'll keep looking.
well, you know what? Maybe you have. Maybe you've just created a market for a whole new product.
Who knows? You never know. We got a comment
Oh,
here
we have a
from
thing.
Joanne. It says, I have a landlord that didn't write the right amount he wanted on the lease. Can he change my amount before my year is up? So this one's actually coming from a tenant, it sounds like. What would you say to that?
Um, I would be curious to know what state, and I would be curious to know if it's a year lease or a month-to-month lease or what the must be a year lease because she said that they want to change the amount before the year is up.
Yeah.
I would say refer back to your lease. I know our leases allow us to change the rent with I think it's a 75-day notice we have to give the tenant. We
Yep.
can change the rent. But the flip side to that clause is if we say we want to raise the rent, the tenant has the option of saying, no, I'm just going to move instead. So that's specific to our lease.
Yeah.
Um, if your lease doesn't have anything about, and again, I'm not a lawyer, I don't pretend to be one.
Sure.
So that's our lease. Read your lease, see what your lease says, and then, if it doesn't have anything about changing the rent, I would
Yeah.
think that they would be locked into that rent for the entire length of the lease.
Yeah. Yeah. It said it's a
But
year lease.
I mean, again, I'm not an attorney, so
Yeah.
don't take my word for it.
Yeah, I mean, landlord or tenant, just look over your lease, read the fine details. Like Andrew was saying, there's a little bit more, I guess you'd say, control from the landlord property
Hmm.
manager perspective because of that clause you have in there. But I'd
Right.
imagine if there isn't a clause that's written in there that you can just change the rent during the year lease, that you wouldn't be able to. But
Yeah,
also,
I mean, and
read
I
the
don't think
clause.
we've ever even used that clause. I don't even know why we have it in our leases, to be honest with you. But
Yeah,
it was something that was in the lease that we never removed, and we've never had to enforce it. So I've never even, I don't know what I'm sure there would be blowback from the tenant if we tried to say we're going to raise your rent or something like that. We've just
mm,
never had a need to. By the
yeah.
way, what kind of a landlord doesn't double check to make sure that the right rent amount is written on the lease? That's kind of that's weird.
I could tell you a funny personal story, but I won't.
Oh my.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you when we're off air.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's been a good episode. Check out your newest place that you're trying to rent out here. I got a live question from Jolene, which is cool. Thanks for asking that from down in Florida. And tune in every week. We'll be doing episodes every Wednesday afternoon. Andrew, if you want to stick to 10 o'clock, we'll do that. And if
Whatever you
you
want to do is fine.
yeah, and we're super picky around here. But yeah, like our page, you'll see these pop up each week as we handle different questions that landlords, property managers, and anybody in real estate or even renting apparently
Hmm.
has questions on. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right. Thanks again, Andrew.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You too.